Namaste and welcome to this midweek edition of The Right Stand. I am Anand Narasimhan. 3 days after the Taliban bulldozed into Kabul, having crushed Afghan government forces and made a rush to flee that followed, there were signals today that the conflict in Afghanistan is still pulling in multiple directions. On the one hand, it has been a wave of fear and panic with the Taliban onslaught, pointing to the return of the dark ages of the 90s, repression of women and typical Taliban trigger-happy culture. But on the other, there were signs today of a resistance emerging, and it was all around the flag and, of course, the rights for women as they stood out in one corner in Kabul holding out the small placards. And then we saw protests in Khost, in Jalalabad, and of course in Panjshir, where it was all about the flag, the Taliban flag taken down and the Afghanistan flag there unfurled, held by the people to show that this is what we stand for, the flag of Afghanistan and not the flag of Taliban. They were trying to be repealed there with gunfire. Unfortunately, 2 people have died in Jalalabad, but above all, Amrullah Saleh, who claims that he is now the caretaker president, indicating that he would reignite a resistance to take on the Taliban. The war is not over, he said, where he said that I am rightfully the president of the country and the head in the absence of Ashraf Ghani, who's left the country. I am still here in the country. The Afghan embassy in Tajikistan removing Ashraf Ghani's picture and replacing that with Amrullah Saleh. So the Tajik comes into the play. There has been a destruction of a Shiite shrine in the same area where the Bamiyan Buddhas were destroyed. So they will also stand up. The Hazaras will also react. The Uzbeks, will they come around? We'll have to wait and watch. But there is clear signs of resistance. Taliban do not have the wherewithal to run a country. How much will they be forced to yield? That's the question. The war for Afghanistan, for the people of Afghanistan, the will of the people of Afghanistan, is that still on? That's what we will get some more details and understanding on. Ambassador Parthasarathy is back with us, and Amjad Ayub Mirza, POK political activist, is also with us. But before we go across to them, and I say namaste to them, we've got information coming through that there is a pull and push and a tussle already happening. CNN News 18 has accessed inside details of the meeting held between the Taliban and the Afghan government leaders in Kabul upon the formation of the new government. Now, this meeting between Anas Haqqani on the one hand, Hamid Karzai, Dr. Abdullah, Gulbuddin Hekmatyar on the other, was to form a broad-based consensus on government formation. The new government will be a mix of Taliban, political leaders, Northern Alliance, Mujahideen. They're all going to be there. So it's going to be what we know very well in our country as a khichdi. Now, there are also visible differences within the Taliban ranks between the Quetta Shura and the Qatar Taliban. So this is also going to be a big challenge, because everybody is pulling strings their way. And there is also this tussle as to government administration. Taliban are telling everybody, all the government officials and the administration, to come back to work. But work for whom? Work under what? On the other hand, they all believe that they want their own people to do it. So you're going to have a bunch of barbarians there and terrorists who know only to fire guns, to run the electricity, to run the pipelines, water pipelines, to run administration, everything. 1.5 million government servants. They're not even 1.5 million Talibani, Ambassador Parthasarathy.
Well, let me put it this way. We should be serious on this one, because I think we are in for a long struggle. The Taliban are not going to give up. They are going to use a growing force, though Mullah Baradar seems to be averse to that, but there is the huge Taliban leadership which will descend, including Maulana Akhundzada, so on the capital. So the Taliban will resist this sort of thing of force, but the resistance is going to grow. The other thing is, you spoke earlier about the movement amongst the Tajiks, which has been started by the person who should really be the president.
Yeah.
And that is going to be a source of resistance, and they will position themselves perhaps in the same way that the Masood had done so earlier. So we are into a deeply complex situation because let's face it, this Taliban alliance is backed by Pakistan,
Yeah.
by Russia, and by China.
Correct.
I think the Iranians are still wondering, but I can't see them being pleased with the present lot. So it is going to be a political struggle. It is also going to be a struggle to assert force to get things done. How this will play out is something the world should keep in close touch with. I'm glad we brought our boys back because as I see it, these, apart from Pakistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, the Chinese, and sort of joining in
Yeah.
recognizing this government. The Western world or the international community, as it's called, will not recognize a government brought in by force. And I would hope that we are not in a hurry to then get started in Kabul at this point in time. I don't think we will, because this is being very, very carefully monitored. Then we have Jai Shankar at the UN.
Right.
So we are fighting this on multiple fronts. At the UN last time, we did manage to get a majority when it came to our policies.
Correct.
But here this is international and you're going to face oppositions from two permanent members of the Security Council.
Yeah.
One is China and the other is Russia. But the others will go along. The US, France, and UK will go along. But you may help. Finding a consensus for a resolution is going to be very tough. But that is what there is. Let me put it, a major diplomatic effort on which India is involved.
Yeah.
We have now been in regular touch, and we are happy to see Germany and the European powers coming in our direction. So, as a professional, I can say I wish all luck to those brave people who are in Kabul and elsewhere asserting their rights.
They should do it in larger numbers, sir.
Struggle, yes, and in numbers, yes.
True. The fact is that 70,000 Talibani and militia cannot run a country. They may think that they have taken a country by force or they have run roughshod, but that's a small battle. The war has just begun. To take control of a presidential palace is one aspect, and to run a country is another. And if people say we are not going to cooperate, show me how you will run the country, they will be brought down to their knees. Amjad Mirza, before I come across to you, I've just got, this is how they're trying to think they're going to run the country. They are trying to kill people down. They're trying to shoot people down who do not follow rules or who they don't agree with. Against the wall, they're trying to shoot them. This is what they're trying to do. These visuals are a little disturbing, ladies and gentlemen. There are the person there, he's lined up there, and then he's shot dead. This is what is happening in the streets of Afghanistan, and there they go. They're all watching in horror. But how much and how long will these bullets? How much and for how long will they try and rule with bullets? Because they will run out of bullets, but the people will not run out of will. And when they run out of bullets, they will have to run out of their holes, and they will be chased out of that place by the people of Afghanistan. The Taliban are going to have it very tough, Amjad Mirza.
Yes, I think Taliban are not going to have a free hand in Afghanistan, especially when it comes to revelations that are now being made that Pakistani army has been bribing certain amount of Afghan generals for buying their disloyalty to Ashraf Ghani, and that is one of the major things that is coming to the forefront now, that why the Taliban managed to make a swift advance all over Afghanistan is because one of the reasons is because the commanders, the senior major generals and lieutenant generals were trying to sabotage Afghan army's advance against the Taliban. So that is one very important aspect that has just come out today. Second thing is this Amrullah Saleh has already announced that he is the president of Afghanistan, and Ahmad Shah Massoud's son. Ahmad Shah Massoud holds a lot of prestige in that part of Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And his son has joined forces with Amrullah Saleh, and they have said that they are not going to give up, and the war is not over, and he is the legitimate president of Afghanistan. The third thing is that in Pakistani occupied Jammu Kashmir, Pakistani occupied Gilgit Baltistan, and in Sindh, Pakistani occupied Sindh, about 100 people have signed up for the International Solidarity Brigade for Afghanistan and have shown their willingness to join Amrullah Saleh in the fight against the Taliban. So I think in the coming days, when this chaos settles like a bit, we will see that the Taliban will have to face a lot of resistance from not only ethnic groups, but also from the non-Sunni groups inside Afghanistan. What is now coming into light is that Pakistan, Turkey, China are all just waiting for announcement of the new Afghan government and the president, and they will be rushing and pushing each other to be the first to recognize the government in Afghanistan, the Taliban government in Afghanistan, because what they are looking at is more than $3 trillion worth of
but here is the reality. It's more than 3 days. It's more than 3 days that they have tried to get in, and they still don't have a person who's going to be their president. They don't have the entire leadership. They don't even have people who can run the government for them. That's the reality. You talked about Amrullah Saleh. I just quickly want to put out what he had tweeted last evening when we were here on the right stand. He's also said that same thing in an audio. We just like to play out that audio clipping, and then I'll go back to Ambassador Parthasarathy.
First vice president automatically becomes the legitimate caretaker president. Since President Ashraf Ghani has fled the country, he has effectively left his responsibilities vacant and his position vacant. I am currently the legitimate caretaker president of Afghanistan because I am inside the country. I am reaching out to all leaders of Afghanistan to consolidate this position and this statement that I have just made. I want to make it very clear that there are many factors why this situation happened. I am not ready to be part of the humiliation and shame that the foreign militaries have endured. I am standing for my country, and the war is not over.
So you have the first vice president says, I'm standing for my country and the war is not over. The president Ashraf Ghani, who's also author of a book titled Fixing Failed State. That's what our research team is saying. He's the one who's written a book and he's got a doctorate from Columbia University. He is now sought refuge in the UAE. The UAE has officially issued a statement that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation has stated the UAE has welcomed President Ashraf Ghani and his family into the country on humanitarian grounds. The charge against him is that and the Afghan embassy in Tajikistan wants the Interpol to nab him because they say that he has run away with a chopper full of money. That's what he has done. He's taken money and left the people of Afghanistan to fend for themselves, and he's gone. And on the other hand, Amrullah Saleh says, I'm here, come, let's stand, this war is not over. Ambassador Parthasarathy, the scenes that we are witnessing, the Taliban says we are friendly, we are not going to force anybody, but we are given to understand to control traffic, they are using LMGs. They are shooting people. They have shot people in Jalalabad because they came there to show respect for the Afghanistan flag. This is what the reality is.
Well, as I said, we are also going to have another problem because, Mullah Baradar has moved from the Middle East to where he was doing the diplomacy work.
From Doha to Kandahar.
In Qatar. He's moved first to Kandahar. Why did he go to Kandahar? Kandahar is the holiest shrine which was with the Prophet's cloak. which they got in the 18th century, is there, and that is everybody who plays the Kandahar card nowadays, primarily because, and it becomes more important than Kabul to the average Pashtun, is that this is the place where the Prophet's shroud is located, and it's really where Ahmad Shah Abdali formed the government. So I think one is this, that you are going to have various pressures. I wish all sort of good luck to the effort now being made to more or less declare being a government of the authentic government. It really raises a constitutional issue, and but as I see it, the Taliban, whether it is Baradar or Akhundzada, will be appearing soon in Kabul. There will be a leadership, or it will be both, and therefore it becomes a real tussle. And I am fascinated by the UAE's attitude, which means really we have played our cards very well, because if the UAE does it, it's going to be Saudi Arabia also. And therefore, any talk of the Islamic world supporting this government is down the tubes. I think what is important now is the Iranians are quite unhappy with the Taliban.
Correct.
But they're not saying anything, and it would be worthwhile to get the Iranians to join in one way or another. But right now they have, and perhaps tell the Americans to give them their nuclear deal if they join.
Correct.
I think on those conditions they would just walk in to support what we're doing.
True, but every nation is going
So
to
I
look
think
at
diplomatically we have to move.
Yeah, correct. I agree. But every nation is going to see what's in it for us. That's what they are going to see as a nation. But the people who are actually standing up to fight are the Afghans themselves. And Dr. Mirza, the fact is that when Amrullah Saleh says, forget what the foreign forces are doing, we will stand up, I will stand up. Is he going to now goad a nation to stand up against? See, what are 70,000 people against 2.5 crore people if they show the will? But will they show the will?
Well, the immediate thing that should be done and should be demanded by Amrullah Saleh is to have international recognition of himself as the legitimate president of Afghanistan. Unless he gains that, I think that it would not get international support. So first of all, if he has done that, then he should also try and get international recognition for his government in hiding, or whatever they call it. But most important thing is that this Pakistan army and Pakistan Prime Minister and Pakistan President are all celebrating. They are calling it that Afghan people have broken the shackles of slavery, only to put on shackles of a new kind of slavery, actually. And Pakistan's role in this cannot be ignored. Already yesterday, the former leader of opposition of POJK Legislative Assembly, Yasin Malik, has declared that with the success of the Taliban, Kashmir Mujahideen are feeling emboldened, and soon Kashmir will become part of Pakistan. I mean, they are now switching over to the next item on the agenda after Kabul, which is Union Territory Jammu Kashmir. So we have to be very vigilant about that.
Well, let's see if they are able to even get out of Afghanistan at this point, because if the people turn around and if the people show the mood that they are showing, it's just going to take one act of inspiration and leadership for the people to take matters in the hand and give these the Taliban and these entire jihadi groups, which are a maximum about 70,000 in number, such a flogging that they will never even they will get into holes from there they will never come out of. That's what's going to happen. They're going to hide. But that it's got a trigger. Something's got to trigger that. And what is going to be the trigger? The trigger seems to be the flag of Afghanistan at this point. The trigger seems to be the women folk and the children of Afghanistan, and for which people will stand up. And one aspect is everybody realizes no other nation is going to stand up for you. The Afghans have to stand up for themselves. And the moment they stand up for themselves, for their rights, for their flag, for their people, then the world will turn around and stand for them. Joe Biden said the same thing. When the Afghan forces didn't stand with their people, what is it that the US troops can do? Now the Afghan people have to stand up so that the forces also wake up and then they start doing what they should have done before. That is the important aspect which the people of Afghanistan have also got to understand that. Ambassador Parthasarathi and Dr. Amjad Mirza, thank you very, very much for joining us this evening here on The Right Stand. We're going to take a very short break, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, the main debate tonight is about those apologists who are within us, in our country. Are they not a bigger threat to our nation? Stay with us.